Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our All Things Consultancy forum. Well, today we have with us an expert in the AI space, and we're actually trying things out slightly differently this time. We're using video conferencing. So this will be the first of its kind, a video conferencing exercise, because our consultant here, Zad, is actually based in Morocco. So we have no other option than to actually do this remotely. So I'll pass over to Zad, who could introduce himself and then perhaps set the scene around what he specializes in before we go into a lot more detail. So Zad?
Yes. So first of all, thank you very much, Shay, for getting me involved in those forums and videos about different topics. So I worked for consulting industry for 10 years now, right now, mainly helping CIOs and CTOs driving their strategy, IT strategy, and working on new technology topics. Now I'm heading the development team and AI team at Layton, which is a consulting company working on different products, energy, financial products, and also innovation.
Fantastic. So I'm sure all of you are wondering, what are we discussing today? Because we said industry trend. Today we're looking to talk about AI, but we wouldn't dwell on what AI is because there's a lot of material out there around what AI is. But we're going to look at it in a slightly different context, particularly how do organizations implement AI? I think that's something that will be worth discussing. And then also we look at AI in terms of how it should actually be, like I said, implemented, but what's the best practice? A lot of times, a lot of mistakes are made around how IE should be sort of factored into businesses. Well, we'll touch on that slightly. And of course, how can we, go about implementing it from a strategic transformation perspective? So looking at it from a people's perspective within the organization, the right skill sets, the right types of procedures we should take to actually employ the right people or empower the right people as well. So we look at it in three folds. What are your thoughts on that, Zad?
Yes, so as you said, many CIOs and CTOs most of the time when they think about AI, they try to create new projects, standalone projects about AI, which is, in my point of view, not the best way to implement AI into organizations. So the way I think of it is AI comes to empower existing processes and applications we have in the organization. I can give you, for example, examples of how AI could be implemented in the organization. So take, for example, the sales process. Most of the time, it's done manually by gathering data about the potential customers and trying to figure out what are the type of customers we want to target. No software application can help sales now targeting their customers. But AI, here where AI can bring real value is that it can help learning from the past sales we've done to predict new type of customers or to predict the type of customers we want to target in the future. And by implementing this into the existing process, it will empower the existing process and it will bring real value into the value chain of the company. So many AI experiments failed into a lot of companies today because they just try to bring a bunch of data scientists, put them into a room and try to figure out how we can create new products or create new applications using AI, which doesn't work because it's most of the time a bit far from the business and the processes we have in the company.
Yeah. No, I think just on that point, you touched on something that's very, very important here. You touched on AI empowers the existing processes and or applications. And, what that sounds like to me is if you're coming or looking to resolve an issue using AI or you're implementing that solution, you should already have in place best practice business processes. So if you have bad business processes and you bring on board AI, it's more than likely that the algorithms would result in bad practice because the processes might not be perfect. Would you agree with that?
I think it's the what I can say about that is that not only the processes should be best practice processes, but also data should be clean data. Most of the time, when we try to implement AI with data that is not clean, not of good quality, it results on of some AI models that are not very efficient. So I think when the processes are good and we're using best practices into our processes, trying to get the best data we have is easier. So I would say it's 3-layer paradigm. One, the first one is we should have clean processes, and we should document those processes to see exactly what we're doing at the company. The second one, trying to collect and gather the right kind of data of good quality every time we can, so we can check the processes we have and check all the endpoints we have to collect the data. Once we have done that, we can come with the last layer, which is the AI layer, that we get all the data into all the processes and try to optimize them using learning methods.
Yes, that's amazing, and I'm happy we're aligned on this topic because it's very important, and I think people out there need to understand the significance of processes and clean data, because whatever you're trying to do with them or in the AI space, that's how you will get the best results. So very interesting. So one other question that comes to mind now is how do organizations implement AI? So you've touched on a bunch of AI professionals or data scientists coming into a room and they are put somewhere else. And of course, they're not directly connected with the business, which is a very valid point. Could you elaborate on that a little?
So yes, so we in the data world now we have 2 or 3 types of practitioners. So we have data scientists that will work on machine learning projects, and we have also data engineers that will clean the data and check the quality of the data and try to implement it in the processes. And the third one is the data analysts that will crunch the data, try to analyze what is inside of the data. Most of the time, companies just try to bring the 3 of them into some war room, and try to get something out of it. And it doesn't work because it's far from the business. So one of the methods we can implement to bring the most of value we can from the AI is to have some ambassadors from the business units or the businesses that knows how business work and what are the business requirements and needs from the business standpoint.
Correct.
And send them with those data practitioners. So creating a digital squad of 4 or 5 people at most that will work for 3 or 4 sprints. Sprints would be like 1 or 2 weeks, and every sprint they would come with some results that they will test in real life conditions. So the AI projects are not like the other type of software creating projects. There are projects that are based on experimenting. So it's test and learn approach.
I see.
Once you create the digital squad between some business practitioners and some data practitioners, they would just come very quickly with some AI models that we can test in real life conditions, get the feedbacks, try to enhance the model, do the same loop and again, 3, 4, 5 times until the model is robust. And once the model is robust, most of the time this digital squad, even if the business go back to their business practices every day, we can have a governance committee that will gather every, for example, every semester to check the results of the model, try to enhance it again, and go back to their work again.
Correct. Yes. So that's very interesting. This model is very similar. We've deployed various transformation programs, more or less. Having it could be a DRB board or the core parts of the business actually decide on if progress is being made and what tweaks need to be made. And just something that came to mind for the viewers out there, because I know there are lots of businesses that have various delivery models. So you touched on iterations, you touched on sprints, so I can hear a lot of agile also going on there. How easy is it to implement this in companies that might not have those sort of delivery methodologies in place? Or if I should say, does it really matter? Could you implement this easily in a waterfall organization, should I say?
So yeah, I think most of the time people are afraid of AI. They say, I mean, it's complicated. We can't implement it in our company. It's only some startup thing, or only big companies can implement AI. Or we should buy some AI software that is very expensive. Actually, it's not. It's never the case. Most of the time, the experimenting of AI is done through some data gathering by one or two data scientists working with a business sales or some business officer. So most of the time what we do is instead of building all the data lake capabilities or data warehouse capabilities, we just try to extract some relevant data into CSV or Excel files, try to work the data, check how it looks like, if it needs to be cleaned or not, try to see the main goal of the AI empowerment we're trying to bring to the process, and test it. And this is not very, I mean, most of the time it will cost less than working with huge data warehouses to try if AI can bring some value to the company. But maybe one major point we should always keep in mind while using AI is where we want to go and what are the ROI we want to drive from the AI projects. Sometimes people just forget about the goal of AI empowerment into the process.
Yeah, valid point, and I'm happy we've touched on this. Okay, so we've also touched on the teams, bringing in ambassadors, empowering them. Could you sort of walk me through how you go about the empowering on a high level? How do you identify the right skill sets? Do they have to be IT experts? Because a lot of times I'm sure people make that assumption. You think AI, you think IT experts. And in my opinion, I believe it's actually people who really understand the business. But what's your perspective on this?
So I think it's a little bit of both.
Okay.
Most of the time, most of the AI projects are business projects. They are not IT infrastructure projects, for example. So those business projects, even the IT practitioner or the data scientist that will work on the project needs to understand very well the business process and what we want to do with the AI in this context, you see. And he won't understand that if he's not with the business practitioner or the business representative. So most of the time, we bring those people together, but AI is meant to be in the future a commodity. It's like creating new software. So even the business should be aware today of two things: of the AI capabilities and how it works mainly, and how it can be implemented in the company. And the second thing is the importance of data into the company, because AI rely a lot about data, on data.
Okay? This is true.
So I think companies, CIOs and CTOs and even CEOs need to do today is to raise the AI and data awareness into their companies. So by creating these digital squads, they will raise the awareness about what AI can do and how data is important. You can, for example, just take a salesperson and make it compulsory for him to just add all the data he has every day about all the customers and prospects. But it won't work. I mean, I think the sales or the business, all the business units should be really aware of what AI can bring to the company and how data matter and why data matter as much as it does today in the company. So once everyone in the company is aware of that, AI projects will get smoother because everyone can think of how AI can empower his daily life. Yes.
This is true, and it should ultimately make life a lot easier in that sense.
Yes, and so by creating these digital squads and sending the business with the data scientists, the business ambassadors with the data scientists for days, weeks, and sometimes months, it will do both. So the company will raise the awareness of its employees about data and AI, and at the same time, you will get a better collaboration on AI and data projects that will bring better value to the company. So most of the time, companies just put the AI data scientists, data engineers somewhere, and nobody would talk to them, and they won't even understand what the business is about and how it works, and they would just play with models, supervised models and unsupervised models, trying to do things and present it to C-levels executives, and it won't work. And I think as AI will be a commodity in all the companies in the future, it will be a real competitive advantage. I think like now, if you don't have email capabilities and you don't have a website, and if you don't have accountancy softwares, the company is not competitive in the market, because it will compete with the very technology empowered other companies.
I see where you're coming from. Yeah.
I think in 5 or 6 in the coming years, in 5 or 6 years, most of companies will have AI capabilities.
Yeah.
And it will enhance very much the processes they will have and all the projects they will be doing. And it will be the main competitive advantage companies will be bringing to the market. So if you don't start by raising the awareness of all the employees about AI, trying to create some digital squads working on AI projects into the company, in the future it will be very hard to compete in the market.
This is true. So I think it's about it's about time businesses start that communication piece around, the internals more or less around AI and the value it adds. Because you're right. I've had clients in the past where when you mention AI, they just think, i.e., standalone solution, like a software you install on your laptop and it just figures things out. But it's actually a lot deeper than that. It's a lot. There's a lot more involved. So just before we conclude, because we're coming to 20 minutes now-ish, what are your views around industries this can be implemented in? Because obviously we've got experience in the energy sector, in the finance sector, as well as the utilities sector. And I believe there's a lot of the delivery approach is consistent across the board. But what would you like to say around industries you might have done this in?
So I think AI can be implemented in any industry right now. I would just maybe split the AI capabilities into maybe 2 or 3 types of capabilities.
Okay.
So the first one is enhancing sales. All companies try to enhance sales. I think AI will bring to the table some very interesting stuff to empower salespeople. So I would say this is the aggressive part of AI, how you can sell. So it can be from empowering salespeople to reinforcement learning used by Netflix or Amazon to suggest products to all the people that are buying products on their websites. This is the aggressive part, where they will try to get the behavior of the prospects and try to match them with the right products they would buy. All right. And there is the other way of using AI, or the other paradigm of using AI into a company, is to enhance processes or rise the productivity of employees. And we're talking about augmented employees. So employees are using only software that are deterministic right now. So deterministic software would be software that are rule engines software. So if for example, if I have, I don't know, in a bank, if you try to do a bank transfer and your bank balance is negative, you can't. So this is some deterministic software. AI will bring to the table something that is more powerful. It's learning from the past or the past transactions and predicting the future ones.
Yeah.
So it can help the productivity by eliminating all unwanted analysis in the process. So, for example, if we have a compliance officer, for instance, that is just analyzing documents and folders all the day. Sometimes he get a lot of garbage in his analysis. I mean, sometimes he has to analyze 1,000 documents to get one bad one, you know. And AI can what AI can do in this process. It will learn from the past analysis the analyst has done to predict the new ones. So instead of analyzing 1,000 documents, he will end up only analyzing 10 documents to identifying only the bad one.
Correct. Yes. So it really makes it a lot quicker, isn't it?
Yes.
No?
So that's why I told you about the competitive advantage of AI. Imagine that when you create a bank account today, sometimes the big banks that didn't implement some AI capabilities into their processes will do some manual stuff to check identity card, check the address, check the revenues, and so on and so on. If you go to a neobank or a fintech, most of the time what they do is they have AI capabilities to check the identity card using optical character recognitions. They will see from the history of their customers if they need to double check the new account creation or not. And most of the time they end up by manually checking 1 on 1,000 accounts instead of analyzing 1,000 on 1,000 accounts. And as a customer, when you create your account, sometimes when you're on a neobank, you just have 1 day to have your account checked and validated. Whereas with the traditional banks, you will end up waiting for 1 week, maybe 3 or 4 days before they check everything and validate the account.
This is true. Interesting. So you touched on something I just want to mention now, which I think is quite sensitive to a lot of people. I know people think AI, they think I'm going to lose my job, you know. So what's your perspective on that? And just to tie into that as well, you know, what do you think students now, because we also have a lot of students who view what we do as well. What would your advice be to them in terms of a career path for, let's say they want to specialize in AI, for instance? What do you suggest they do? You know, what sort of skills would they be required to have? So those are the two questions in one, because I think they could be tied in together.
Yeah, so it's one very interesting question, because it's not only for the students, it's also for the employees today in all the companies all over the world. So I think the first thing to do is to be aware of AI capabilities and the data and try to get involved in some AI projects into the company.
Yeah.
Because I think AI would be like Outlook in the future. If you don't know how to open an email and read emails, you won't be employed anymore, you know?
True. Yeah. Very true.
So I think most of people should try to get involved in AI projects, should read about AI. For students, I think they shouldn't change all the career path, but if they can have 1 or 2 modules about AI, artificial intelligence, cognitive science, machine learning, all those subjects are related to AI and can be competitive advantage for them into the employment market. You see,
Sure.
so I think in the future, if you don't know a bit about AI, it will be very hard to be employed because most of the processes will be AI powered. Even as a compliance officer or as a credit analyst or as a financial analyst, if you don't know that your processes are enhanced with AI, or if you don't try to see how AI can bring you value to the work you do every day, it will be very hard to be competitive with the others. So I think in the future, even I don't know, compliance officer, when they will have an interview, they will have some questions about AI and ethical projects, AI and fraud detection, how software and AI can help the compliance officer to do his work daily. And if you analyze a bit all the IT infrastructure in the world today, if you see banks, for example, banks are just giant IT companies.
True.
is done through IT, and even financial analysts should work on some complex softwares like Bloomberg and others. So I think the advice I can give is, even for students, if you are following even a healthcare or medicine path, you should try to look into AI and how it will bring value to the healthcare industry.
Correct. Yes, that's a very good answer. And I think on that note we can draw this to an end. Or did you have any other last comments you want to make, or share any thoughts? Or
yes, so maybe another comment about the last question is that
yes,
AI. I think we shouldn't be afraid of AI. It's the other way around. We should see how AI can help us in our daily life and help us in our work every day.
true.
I think it's more of how we can progress and improve our work and daily life work instead of instead of fearing it.
That's true. I really agree with you. It's there to help us. It's there to make life a lot easier for us. But I think that's a very, very interesting topic. I think we've shared a lot of information here, very useful for the viewers. And I think just to remind everyone, we touched on, we looked at AI, not necessarily what AI is, because like we said, there's a lot of material out there, but how to go about implementing AI, telling people that AI is really not a standalone solution. It's actually something that actually empowers, processes and applications within a business. I think that's a very, very important point for everyone to remember. And of course, when you want to implement AI, you shouldn't just put the AI scientists or the data scientists or professionals in one room. They should be part of the business. They should be integrated, because a lot of the information they get is from the people doing the job. So they need to work together to sort of get the relevant data. And of course, AI is process driven. At the same time, data plays a fundamental part in AI. So you need to have a good enough process in place already, but at the same time, cleaned out data. So not just junk, because if you give AI junk, it's highly likely you'll get junk out at the end. And I think that's about it, really. So, Saad, thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you very much.
And looking forward to catching up soon.
Yes, thank you.
Take care.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye. Mm-hmm.